Welcome to another Tier List Tuesday. My name is Birthroad, and today we are looking at anime main characters and deciding if they are overrated or underrated. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. So we have every main character from every show I have seen. Let's get it started off here with Yusuke. I feel like Yusuke is a generational main character. He's absolutely fantastic, but I feel like the show and Yusuke are heavily underrated. The reasons why is because it's probably so old people don't want to watch it, but I'm telling you that it's worth a watch. Yu Yu Hakusho is a fantastic show. Yusuke is a fantastic character. I'm going underrated. Next we have Shinra. Now I love Shinra, and I think a lot of people like Fire Force, but I don't know if they really quite like Shinra like I do. I feel like I relate to Shinra quite a lot. And so for me, he's heavily underrated. I think in the general scope of things, probably properly rated. A lot of people think he's good. But for me, he's a pretty impactful character for me. So I think underrated just because I think I hold him higher than everybody else. I think he should be a little higher on everybody's list. So I'm going to go underrated. Next, we have Kiritsugu Emiya. I don't know, to be honest, because Fate fans glaze every character in the show. So in terms of the fans of Fate, I can't really say if anybody's overrated or underrated because I feel like they like everybody, which there's nothing wrong with that. But in the grand scheme of things, Kiritsugu, I feel like, I don't know, he's a good character, but I don't think he's really underrated or overrated. So I think he's just going to go properly rated. Good character. I think a lot of people know he's a good character, and that's about it. Next, we have Atsushi from Bungo Stray Dogs, one of my favorite shows. But man, I'm not going to lie, Atsushi gets outshined all the time. And I thought people shared the same opinion about me with Atsushi, saying that, he's not mid, like he's a good character, but he's not a great character. Because there are great characters in the show that outshine him literally every single episode. He's not one of them, obviously. And a lot of people do agree with me on that, but I've said that before, and a lot of people are like, oh, don't talk about Atsushi like that, like he's the go, blah, blah, this, and that. So I think he's going to be overrated just because he's slightly overrated. I mean, he's not a bad character, but he doesn't even feel like the main character in any season of Bungo. It's either Dazai, Fyodor, Chuya, or Ranpo. Like, even Akiko feels more like a main character at times than Atsushi. So, yeah, I think he's got to be overrated. He's a good character, but people definitely be rating him too high. Next, we have Saitama. Now, for Saitama, I don't know. I think most people understand he's just a funny character. He's a gag character. I guess if you were to ask the power scaling community, they would say overrated. I think power scaling is stupid. I'm just talking about as a character. Because the power scaling conversations just get dumb as shit. I can't get into those, I'm not going to lie. But should I put him in overrated because people do overrate his strength? Or do I put him in properly rated because as a character, people know who he is as a character. Nobody's really underrating him or overrating him as a character. That's a tough decision. I think I'm gonna have to put him in overrated just because people do think he is like way stronger than he actually is. I mean, it's a gag anime, whatever. But I think I have to put it under an overrated, especially because he gets talked about a lot for being just a okay character. Next, we have Ichigo Kurosaki from Bleach. Now, I've shared the same opinion about Ichigo forever. I think he's the best main character in the big three. He's a fantastic character. And obviously, the other two shows in the big three are more popular than Bleach. So a lot of times you get people saying Ichigo's not as good because maybe they haven't seen it or they like the other two shows more. I think Ichigo's better than Naruto and Luffy. I personally have One Piece and Naruto both in my top 5. Bleach is not even in my top 10 personally. I'm not a big fan of Bleach. Ichigo, however, as a character is way better than Naruto and Luffy. I stand on that. So for me, I think I'm going to put it in underrated because I think there are more people who would go with Luffy and Naruto. But Ichigo is a fantastic main character and he's the best in the big three, hands down. Next, we have Haruka Sakura for Windbreaker. I'm not going to lie, this show is pretty mid. And the reason it's mid is because it's very cringy. A lot of the characters are very cringy, not very likable. But that's not the case for Haruka. He is the only reason I like the show. I will continue to watch the show because Haruka Sakura is actually a really enjoyable main character. I don't really care for a lot of the other characters in the show, but Haruka genuinely carries his show. That's how good of a character he is. So for me, I think he's obviously going to have to go in underrated. I mean, a lot of people, at least in America, don't really watch this show. I know it's very popular in Japan, but to me, underrated. I think he is a great main character. He just suffers from being in a not so great show. So I think pretty easily we're going to put Haruka in underrated. Next, we have Deku. Deku, to me, I'm going to just say he's one of the most overrated main characters ever. And I don't hate Deku. I'm not a Deku hater. I'm just a Deku disliker. And here's what I will say and the reason why. I think Deku, when he's fighting, fantastic. He is so cool when he's fighting. But a lot of My Hero is not fighting. A lot of My Hero is them doing other shit. And when they're doing other shit, including the training, by the way. I mean fighting, just like actually fighting. Like even the training, he acts like a little bitch. But outside of the fights, he is a little bitch. Like, he is so annoying and so insufferable to follow when he's not in a fight. It is actually terrible. If there weren't people like Bakugo, Todoroki, I can't remember everybody's name, like Kirishima, if those people weren't in the other episodes and they were just about Deku, it would suck. Like, it would genuinely suck. Deku is so insufferable when he's not fighting. Now, when he's fighting, he's arguably the coolest guy in the show. When he's not fighting, he is arguably the worst guy in the show. So for me, he is overrated because people kind of ignore that, and that's how it goes. That's how it goes for a lot of shows, and I actually respect people who can look at shows like this. They really only look at the good and not the whole thing. I look at the good and the bad. I think Deku in the good is great, but in the bad, he is really bad. So I'm gonna go overrated for Deku. Next, we have Kenshin Himura. Honestly, I don't know. He's not really that underrated. I think the show is underrated, but him as a character himself, he's decent. I think he's just going to have to go properly rated. I think most people that have seen it, they're like, yeah, he's a decent character, but nothing else. Next, we have Shiota Nagisa. Okay, this is another one that's like the Atsushi situation. I thought most people agreed that Nagisa never really felt like the main character, that they were overshadowed the entire time by Karma. But there are people out there that are Nagisa, like, fans, which is crazy to me. I'm not a hater of Nagisa. I don't think he's a bad character at all, but just not really... I don't know what the right word is. It's not really that important for a main character, I feel like. Like, Karma seems way more like the main character. So, yeah, I think definitely overrated. I've got no problem with Nagisa, just not really a great character at all. But apparently a lot of people do like him, so I'm going to go overrated. Next, we have Shigeo Kageyama, Mob. Anybody who's seen Mob Psycho will tell you Mob is a fantastic character, so he's pretty easily going to go into properly rated. Nobody hates Mob, and Mob is a top character on a lot of people's lists, so he's definitely properly rated. Next, we have Reki Cayenne. Okay, so my perception on this show is like so strange, because when I watched it, I thought the show was terrible, and I was like, there's a reason why it's not that popular. Then every time I talk about it, people are like, oh, you're hating on it, it's a good show, and I'm like, where did these fans spawn in from? These fans, like, just are not real people, and I'm not saying that because their opinion's different than mine. They just pop up out of nowhere, genuinely. I never hear anything about this, and then the second I say something about it, it's like they just spawn in, you know, and it's not hating, it's just I don't see them anywhere. I feel like this show doesn't have many public fans. But Skate the Infinity, to me, really awful show. Reki Cayenne, the main character, the only good character in the show. I do enjoy him. I think he's a fantastic character. But I don't know. So I think it'll probably go properly rated then, because I don't like the show doesn't mean he should go any certain way, because I feel like the people that watch the show, whether they like it or dislike it, they'll think Reki's a good character. So I think properly rated. Next, we have Jonathan Joestar. Now, this is a character to me that gets too much hate. I think Jonathan, the only downside is that his part is so short. I feel like he's a very likable character. He is what a Joestar should be, which is the reason I really like Jonathan, because he represents what the Joestar family is, unlike the rest of the fucking hooligans and criminals that are from the Joestar bloodline. He is a real Joestar. So for me, underrated. He gets a lot of hate for pretty much no reason. Next, we have Denji. Okay, so there are some manga characters that will be included on here. I will just say that. But for Denji, I haven't read the manga, so I'm going off anime only. And the way these motherfuckers talk about Denji, you would think he's a super great character and things like that. Denji don't do shit in the anime so far. Now, I'm saying that's an exaggeration, I'll be honest. But he does stuff. He's cool. I like Denji. But people act like he's some super complex character. All he's done in the show is get taken advantage of, which he does the entire show, and be a gooner. That's it. That's all he's done. Like, you know, and it's not... It's no hate on Denji, and I know I've seen some stuff from the manga, like I know some stuff that does happen. His character does grow a lot. It's just we're not at that point yet. We are 2 arcs in. Denji has a long way to go before he is this character people are describing him as. Now, I know a lot of the manga readers are probably the ones doing it, but in terms of anime-wise, he's definitely overrated at the moment. So I'm going to go overrated for Denji. He just hadn't done shit in the anime. Or not, I'm going to go over-exaggerating again. He hasn't done nearly enough of what he's going to do. Next, we have Ash Ketchum. I'm not gonna lie, this fucker's overrated, dude. Took him 30 years to win the big leagues. Like, come on. As a character, he is enjoyable. Obviously, that's why he was the main character for so long. But he is a fraud. Like, I can't deny that, so I have to put him in overrated. Next, we have Asta. To me, Asta is one of the greatest main characters in fiction. I love Asta. He's amazing. Super inspirational character. And I can't wait for Black Clover to come back. Obviously, this is going to go in underrated because I don't think many people have him as a top main character in anime or in fiction, and I personally do. Again, this is another one similar to Shinra. I just feel like I relate to him a lot, so I'm going to go underrated. Next, we have Baki. Okay, this is another show that's going to be similar to Bungo and Assassination Classroom. I didn't know Baki, like, had an actual fan base. I thought, like, it was just the memes and everything, because I've seen Baki. I think it's decent. But, like, the fan base thinks it's, like, peak or something, which, whatever. I mean, they can have at it for the show. But in terms of Baki, by far the best character in the show. And I think whether you think Baki's a good show or a bad show, you will like Baki. He's a good character, so he's going to go into properly rated because, yeah, he is great. He might get overglazed a little bit, but then he also gets a little bit of hate because of how the show is. So I'm going to go properly rated. Next, we have another one properly rated. Great. No, I Next, we have also Typewriter. And you are two sides of watching it. I understand that's probably great. It's manga. And I understand. You can have a proper rating because I don't work. Your life can have a chance to everybody else. Or some of the manga or some of the anime is playing. I can have no problem. Next up, Spike's People. I have to put I think it's Dante because it seems like a lot of people that have played games don't really like it. Which I don't really understand because I played it. I still like the anime. I don't understand. I think it's one of the favorite adaptations. But like, I would still play it. But yeah, it seems like a lot of people that play games like the show is like Dante. Not like the show. And I played the game. I don't understand the point of the show or about the show. It's a good game. And yes, it may not be exactly like the game. I don't understand why you want that. Don't play the game. So Dante, I have to put it on the radio. It is a good character. Next we have David Mark. I like David. I think he's a good character. But I just David's an idiot. Nobody seems to come up to him. He's supposed to be a smart guy. He attends this school that yes, they did have to work hard to pay for whatever. They don't just let anybody in to do with the money. This is a top school. Plus, or whatever. It was a top school. It's too late. You had to be someone smart and have good grades. Obviously, that's part of his character. That's what makes his character so good. At the same time, that's also what makes his character bad. How is that smart? Doesn't make sense. Let's go. Definitely. Now, he may not be the worst, but out of shows I've seen, he's definitely top 3 worst main characters. There's nothing really likable about him. He's unrealistic in an unrealistic show, which just makes no sense. His powers are stupid. His fights are lame. Just the way he carries himself is lame. He's overrated in every single way you could think of. Next, we have Giorno. Okay, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Giorno is really strong. But yeah, I feel like that's about it. I feel like Giorno is a pretty boring character, but people really like Giorno just because he's strong. People have that weird, like, thing. You'll notice it with other characters we'll get later, like, you know, as I'm describing it. But, like, people see characters that are really strong or just have, like, a lot of aura, and they're like, oh, wow, cool character, cool character. That doesn't, to me, that doesn't make a character cool. It might to some people, but to me, it does not. I mean, just because Giorno is strong, he's not really that cool. He is kind of boring, I'll be honest. He's not a bad character, but he's pretty boring. I'm going to put him in overrated. Next, we have Jinga Hagane. I don't know. I feel like everybody that's seen it thinks Jinga's a good character. He's not the best character in the show. He's arguably not... I'd say he's the best main character in Beyblade, so I think he's just going to have to go properly rated. I don't know. It's a tough one because Beyblade is so different in each season. It's like JoJo's. And I haven't watched the other ones in a while, so I don't really remember a lot of that. So I'm just going to put him properly rated. Next, we have Rin Okumura from Blue Exorcist. Now, this one's going to be pretty simple to me. I feel like this show isn't really that popular, and I think for relatively good reason. The show's not really amazing or anything, but if you do watch the show, Rin should come off as an amazing character. Rin is fantastic, but I feel like he doesn't even get the flowers he deserves just because, again, he's kind of held back by his show. But he is great. Fantastic character. Also, they made him absolutely chopped in the new seasons, so I could get why people have stopped associating with him. But I'm going to put him in underrated. I think he's a fantastic character. Next, we have Kirito. I mean, if you've seen Sword Art, you know, you probably think he's a decent character, so I feel like this one's pretty simple. But he is another character held back by his show, but a lot of people still do like Kirito, so I'm going to put him properly rated. He's a good character. Next, we have Edward Elric. Fantastic character. Anybody who's seen the show will tell you that. Properly rated. Ikichi Onizuka. Now, this one's hard because I actually have discovered, I uploaded a TikTok recently, there are Onizuka haters, which is strange to me. I don't know how that happens, but I don't know. I feel like most people, he's probably properly rated. Everybody knows he's pretty funny. He's a decent character, so yeah, I feel like properly rated is fair for Onizuka. Next, we have Eren Yeager. You know, I'm not a big fan of Attack on Titan at all. I still think Eren's a great character. I think he's going to go properly rated. I don't see how you could watch Attack on Titan and even dislike it like I do and say that Eren's a bad character, so properly rated. Gappy, I'm going to keep it a buck. Gappy's overrated, man. Yes, he's another character that's strong, but he literally doesn't have a personality for the longest time because that's the whole point of this part is him, like, finding who he truly is or whatever because he lost all his memories and shit and stuff like that. And to me, that's just not a very interesting or unique character. I'm going to have to put him in overrated. Next, we have Simon. I mean, he's a fantastic character. If you watch the show, you'll agree. Properly rated. Gon. Oh, I do think Gon might be slightly overrated, but it's not enough to put him in overrated because I think he's a good character, and I think everybody that watches will think he's a good character. I just think some people would maybe have him above others, and he shouldn't be, but he's a good character. Anybody who watches the show knows he's a good character, so I think I have to leave him improperly rated. Next, we have Gyro Zeppeli. I mean, one of the most glazed characters in JoJo's, in all of anime manga, and for good reason. He's a fantastic character, properly rated. Hojo Tokiyuki, I'm not gonna lie, if this guy has even one fan, he is overrated. One of the worst characters in any anime. This is a worse main character than Tanjiro because he is even more unrealistic. In a story based off a true story, you have an unrealistic... don't even get me started. This show's absolute dog shit. Anyway, he's gonna be overrated because if he even has one fan, that's one too many. Overrated. Ippo. Again, if you watch Ippo, you're gonna love Ippo. You're gonna think he's great. Properly rated. Jin Mori. I've read all of the manhwa, and again, it's the same thing. If you've read it or if you've watched it, you're probably going to have the correct opinion about him, so I'm going to go properly rated. A similar situation with Boruto. Next, we have Jolene Kujo. Now, Jolene, she be getting hate pretty much because she's a woman. Now, I know people are not going to say that. They're going to be like, oh, I don't know. But Part 6 to me is one of the best parts in all of JoJo's, and people hate it because the main character is a woman and it has to deal with so many women. And Jolene, to me, is the greatest Joestar ever. There's not a Joestar better than Jolene. She is the best Joestar, hands down. She's the most entertaining. She, may not be the strongest, but she has the best character. She has the best development. She has the best story based around her. And she is like one of the most goated ones, right? Like, I don't know. She's underrated, man. She's the best Joestar in my opinion. Next, we have Josuke. I think, again, everybody who sees Josuke, they think he's a good character. Properly rated. Jotaro. I gotta be honest, man. Jotaro's the most popular Joestar in JoJo's, and he shouldn't be. I get he's the poster boy, everything, this, and that. He's a good character, but he is definitely overrated, man. Next, we have Kurapika. Kurapika, I say properly rated. Who doesn't like Kurapika? Lelouch, properly rated, goated main character. Light, properly rated, goated main character. Lucy, now these can be interchangeable. Lucy or Natsu, I kind of have the same. Well, actually, Natsu, I would say, is overrated. Lucy, I would say, is underrated. So I'm going to put her in underrated. She's a great character, doesn't get enough credit for what she does. Natsu gets a little too much credit for what they do. Next, we have MASH. It's a similar situation with Saitama, except he doesn't get overscaled, so properly rated. Luffy. I mean, let's be honest, bro. One Piece Glazers be going too hard on Luffy, man. I love One Piece. It's my 4th favorite show ever. Luffy is probably not even a top 10 character in One Piece. I'm going to be honest, bro. He's a good character, but he definitely gets overrated. There's so many other characters better than him, not only in One Piece, but in other shows as well. Overrated. Naruto. Naruto's the middle ground for me between Ichigo and Luffy. I feel like he's got a little bit of both in them. And I feel like a lot of people that watch Naruto and be like, Naruto's a good character. I don't. Now, there are some people, there are Naruto glazers, be like, Naruto's the best main character. It is just wrong. And there's also people that do hate on Naruto. I feel like he's going to go into properly rated, though, because most people think he's a good character. And most people don't think he's like the best main character ever. At least I hope not. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't know. But you just don't see too much about Naruto anymore since it hasn't got anything in 10 years. Next, we have Joseph. Arguably the best Joestar as well. I think he's also going to go underrated. People don't like the parts without stands, which is dumb in my opinion. Joseph's awesome. I'm going to go underrated. Sugimoto Saichi kind of carries his show, not going to lie. I think a lot of people that have seen it know he's a good character, so he's going to have to go properly rated. Thorfinn, fantastic character, properly rated. Gesicht. I really like Gesicht, and I've never really met anybody that's watched Pluto except for one guy, and he was just hating for the dumbest reason, saying, oh, it doesn't make sense that so many people like the show. Dude, nobody's seen the fucking show, okay? Not so many people like the show. Anyway, besides the point. Gesicht, he's a great character, honestly. I feel like he doesn't... I've seen nobody talk about him. It's going to be the same thing as Decim, pretty much. Underrated. Senku, this show is overrated. And all the characters are honestly overrated. None of them are even really that likable. Overrated. Yu Kimishiro. I feel like if you read it, you probably have the same opinions that I do. Like, he's a pretty good character. He's way too depressed. He's kind of an idiot. Properly rated. Linling. Now, it's not really confirmed if he's the main character of To Be Hero X, but whenever you look it up, or when I looked it up in the past, I don't know, maybe it's been confirmed since then, but when I used to look it up, it said that he was the assumed main character, so I'm just going with Linling. If you think it's X, makes sense as well, right? But for me, Linling, I would put him in properly rated. I feel like a lot of people like him. Satoru Fujinuma, again, if you watched it, you probably like him. Properly rated. Tenma, I think Tenma's a good character. I have issues with Monster, but it doesn't come from Tenma. Properly rated. Lena Inverse, I like Lena. Actually, I'd probably put Lena in underrated. Now, the show is underrated for sure, but the reason I want to put her in underrated is because I don't think she gets enough credit, at least for the dub, how great her voice acting is. Now, I know that's not really the character, and maybe I shouldn't be basing it off that, but, like, she's a very easy character to follow as well. Like, it's very easy to get behind her, very easy to understand everything about her. I'm going to go underrated. Mugen, I feel like he's properly rated. A lot of people love Mugen. Okaroon, I hate Okaroon. I'm not going to lie. He be pissing me off. This show pisses me off. I hate the show. I hate the characters, so overrated. Alan Walker carries his show by far, but everybody who's seen D-Gray, man, likes Alan Walker, so properly rated. Motoko Kusanagi, underrated, one of the best main characters ever. Makoto, what's his name? Sumi, I think, from Tsukamichi. I think, again, if you watch this, probably have the same opinion as everybody else. Decent character. Ryuko Maltoy. This show it's hard to watch. Not because it's bad, but this is a show you gotta watch in bed. I can't even watch it on my monitor, bro. If I have it on my monitor here watching, somebody walks in and me watching the show. Yeah, so she gets a lot of, not hate, but I think maybe discredit. She's discredited because of how, like, gooner the show is, but she's actually a really good character. I'm gonna go underrated. Psyche, I don't like this show, but I think every character in the show is better than Psyche. I think Psyche's the worst character in the show. He's very boring. All the other characters are a lot more entertaining. Overrated. Next we have Vash. One of the greatest main characters ever. But I feel like most people that have watched it would honestly say that. A lot of people love Vash, so I'm going to go properly rated, honestly. Goku, he's got, like, I'm going to be honest, bro. I know people get mad when you say it. He's got no character development. I like Goku, but he's the same character from birth till now. He is no different whatsoever. And yes, he's strong, sure, whatever. Who cares, bro? But in terms of Dragon Ball, he ain't even the best character in Dragon Ball, bro. Like, he's got to be overrated. Sun Jin Woo. He's just aura. That's the character that matters in the show. And we're ending it off on a bang. Our glory.